Hey everybody, it's Mr. Belanger. So this video is about the proper mindset that you need for math. So I have seen this so many times with the thousands of math students that I've taught in my life and my own experience as being a math student for a very long time, and I still consider myself a student. Your attitude is hugely important. I can think of so many other examples, so I'll reference sports because I've played a lot of sports and played as a kid. If you had a bad attitude, I don't think I've ever performed well with a negative attitude, or if I've had negative teammates, it's always been a drag. I found that if my mind was in the right place, I had the best chance of success. And of course, as a human being, your mind loves to go to the negative. It loves to judge you, criticize you, compare you to other people, and generally just be negative. And I don't know why that adaptation is there for human beings. It's there for all of us, so it's no different for me. I still have to silence the voice that's up in there sometimes. And there's strategies that I've developed over the years that help me maximize my learning, my progress, and even my performance when I have to perform, on tests and things like that. I mean, that's my least favorite, but it's more about the learning. But let's take a look at things that can really help you if you just made a little bit of a shift. So I got 5 points about a proper mathematical mindset. Okay, the first one here is productive struggle. So you're going to make mistakes. It will be a grind at times. It's not smooth sailing all the time. We already know that. Okay, this is completely normal. Mistakes are learning opportunities to help you solidify knowledge, and things take time to marinate. So I could often think of, for example, when I'm in the class, whether I'm in a brick and mortar school or learning online, I learn the lesson the first time. I'm like, okay, kind of understand some components, but I'm not too sure about others. And then I found I had to go home and I had to read it again, watch the videos again, do my homework, think about it in a quiet space. So I know that you guys, many of you, my younger viewers, your phone, right? Your phone is constantly by your side as you may be studying and doing homework, and it's doing its thing. That's a real problem. See, I never had that issue when I was young, and I'm so thankful for that, because when you get in a state of focus, it's also, you might have heard the term, a state of flow, and that's where you're really into what you're doing. And if that phone is dinging, it is knocking you out of that state of focus, and it's harder for you to like struggle with the material and grapple with it. And sometimes it just takes time. Sometimes I know I would understand the material maybe 2 weeks later, and I had to spend time at it, and I had to not judge myself if I wasn't getting it that day. Like, okay, I've gotten part way. I'll fill in the gaps later as I do more. Next is fake it until you make it. We've heard this term many times in life. This is for people in general who are seeking to be more positive or happier in their life, even though their circumstances might be difficult. It's important to tell yourself, these are like little mantras to tell yourself, I'm a confident person, or I'm going to be patient, or I'm going to be disciplined, or whatever you need to tell yourself in the mirror in the morning. These are real things. You can actually rewire your brain by doing this. So, I don't know how many times I repeat the mantra, the solution has to be something easy. By reminding myself the solution must be something logical or simplistic, it frees up my brain not to overthink the problem. Try saying that the next time you get stuck. Okay, so I still do this in math. I still encounter problems even at the high school level that when I look at it for the first time, I'm not sure what to do. But that's a normal experience, and so I'm okay with that. And sometimes I have days where I'm very clear in my thinking, other days I'm very groggy and sleepy and just not having a good thinking day. It's just like some days you physically feel great and energetic, and other days you don't. It's no different with your mind. So I have to say this to myself, whether privately or out loud if no one's around. And I will say, the solution has to be something simple. And that weird little mantra somehow frees up my brain from overcomplicating things, because even I do that, right? You've heard the expression, you make a mountain out of a molehill, right? We over catastrophize things, and you think it's something big and something difficult, and then all of a sudden you look at it and you see the solution, you go, oh my goodness, that was so easy. Why couldn't I think of that? I was thinking it was something crazy hard. So find your own little mantra that will help you free up your brain and relax. Next, no judgment here. Okay, maybe you have a bad history with math. It's likely. Maybe it's been a while since you took a class. Maybe you're an adult student and you haven't done this in a while. Or maybe you're just too hard on yourself, right? I've taught a lot of perfectionists, type A types who are extremely critical and judgmental of themselves, just painfully so. There's no need for that, okay? We never judge ourselves over our understanding or our performance. You fix your errors and you just keep getting better. So I want you to think about this, okay? We're often our own worst critic. What if someone else, and unfortunately I know this might be the case sometimes, but what if somebody else was judging you, overtly judging you and telling you and criticizing you for getting things wrong or not for understanding or not for making progress or not for doing well? That would inhibit you so badly. Like that would just ruin your self-esteem and self-confidence. Well, if you're doing it to yourself, how is that any different? Okay? That was something I had to do too. I had to separate that inner voice that likes to be critical and negative sometimes and almost not invest my feeling in it, like remove the emotional component and just be like, this is business. And I get down to work and I'm like, okay, I made a bunch of mistakes. All right, yeah, that's unfortunate. Why did I make those mistakes? Let's take a look. And is it because I'm not trying, which for me is like rarely the case, but you know, where was the weakness? What was the problem? How do I fix it? Get some help. It's all just a process of getting better. And I don't spend time criticizing myself. The only time I would ever criticize myself, and this has happened maybe a couple times, I've had a stern talking with myself when I didn't put in the effort. Okay, this happened to me once in the first year of my university career, and I got off to a poor start, and for whatever reason I wasn't working as hard as I normally would, and I did badly. And I made a commitment to myself that I would never put myself in that position again. So other than that, you don't judge yourself. You make a mistake, you learn from it, you get better, you move on. That's it. Next is no fear. Ever played a sport or and played scared? Excuse me. Right, I have. Yeah. How did you do? Didn't go well. Okay, you need to be tough to tackle math when things get hard. You can't be afraid. You simply need to dig in and get mentally tough. I would always say, you know, that to do math, there's a level of toughness. Just like if you were to do an activity that required some real courage or was quite scary, and it could be anything. Maybe dancing for the first time. It would be terrifying for me. I played hockey as a young kid, and I still do. There were some times, you know, you're going to get somebody who's really big, or you know, it's scary, and you gotta have to have some courage. You gotta dig in. It's like almost like a bit of a fight sometimes. Sometimes math is really soft and fun. Sometimes it's a fight, a mental fight, and you gotta get tough, gotta get in there and be tough about it. Not cry, not get upset. I know these things happen. I've seen a lot of tears. You gotta have like a fighter's mentality sometimes when you get up against hard things. And finally, my last point, understand but don't memorize. Okay, we don't memorize mathematics, at least we try not to. We understand the ideas and apply them to new situations. This often means revisiting the topic to think about it multiple times or trying different methods of solving. You need to, or you may need a visual approach. Sorry, you may need a visual approach to look at different ways of connecting with the material. Okay, this is one of the most important concepts that I learned about math was I really had to revisit the topic and dig in and understand it because I didn't want to memorize. And I understand sometimes you might have to memorize the odd thing, and memorization is better for history facts and biology facts, but not for math, because if I could understand what the purpose of what the concept was, what it was used for, so if you put me into a situation that was different, you know, it's still based on the same topic, but it was different, I could make adjustments. See, students who can only memorize a pattern and then try to repeat the pattern are only good for that particular pattern. And if one little piece in the question changes and you can't adapt to it or adjust to it, well, you're no good. You can't do this stuff because all you're trying to do is like do the exact same steps that you've memorized. That's not what we're trying to do. I get sometimes you feel like you have to do that, but it's really imperative to have a full understanding of the vocabulary, the purpose of what you're doing, what's it for, and that when you do get like little deviations, you can make the necessary adjustments. That's thinking. Okay, so I hope this helps you. Okay, the right attitude is extremely important. Thanks, everybody.